Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind, where we take the mystery out of mortgages and make dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Natalie Salins, a top 1% mortgage broker with 20 years of experience, based right here in sunny Los Angeles. If you've ever wondered about pre-approvals, appraisals, or what loan product is right for you, don't worry, I've got Mortgage on My Mind, so you don't have to. Each week, I'll bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and insider tips to help you navigate California's competitive real estate market with confidence. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or just curious about how it all works, this podcast is for you. So let's talk mortgages, demystify the process, and make your real estate goals a reality. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mortgage on My Mind. I'm Natalie Salins. Today, we are blessed with Sammy Lyon. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes, you got it.
Thank goodness. Okay, great. Thanks. Who is a Los Angeles-based real estate broker and founder of GoodRents, which is a socially conscious real estate initiative that reinvests 5% of gross profits into social and racial justice work, which is a beautiful thing. We will get more into that. But since entering the business and industry in 2018, Sammy has built a thriving multi-unit portfolio through house hacking and now helps first-time home buyers and small investors across Los Angeles. With a background in education and construction project management, which is also very interesting, Sammy brings educator-style guidance to real estate and has earned praise across platforms like HGTV's House Hunters, Newsweek, US News, and World Report, and Yahoo Finance. So awesome to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast to share your wealth of knowledge and such. Tell us,
Great to be here. Thank you.
thank you. Tell us a little bit about GoodRents and what that initiative is and the basis of it.
Yes. I guess, serial entrepreneurship is showing itself here. Many hats, but yeah, I guess I have to start with I came to real estate as from education. So my first job out of college was teaching gardening at an after school program. And I
Oh,
got
wow.
hooked on teaching and I got my master's in education and was like leading school programs across districts and was going up that ladder. And then I don't know, I guess got into this sort of bureaucratic space of things, like working at the district office. And that coincided with learning about Bigger Pockets, the real estate podcast, and just learning about financial independence, retire early. So I just got like really hooked on that idea. So I never really meant to, I don't know, have a career in real estate. I was just going to be like an investor. I was going to teach and invest. But I don't know. I guess I got obsessed.
You
But
got
all
the
that to
bug. You got
say,
the
I got
bug.
the bug. I definitely got the bug. But to your question of GoodRents, I think for me, it was a pretty big identity crisis going from social justice educator to real estate. I was like, oh, am I going to lose my values and whole
Sure.
background and everything? So I definitely knew I wanted to commit to social justice work in some way, but it's hard. It's like you're also just starting out in real estate, so it's not like you're just figuring it out. But you know how some companies are like B corporations or Patagonia gives 1% of all profits to environmental work and social justice. So the idea was okay, let me commit a certain percentage. And that coincided with also buying out of state properties. I'm in Los Angeles, so my barrier to entry here was a little high, but I was buying very low cost to me as a Californian properties out of state. And the math wasn't mathing. Like, why is my mortgage $350 a month, but the rent is $900 a month? Like, the tenant should be able to afford this property. Why didn't they
Right.
buy it? It was cheaper for me to own it than for them to rent it. So my friend Jason and I were just brainstorming, okay, how do we connect our social justice and urban planning, housing background to wanting to also be real estate investors, but with integrity. So that's where the 5% came from, was the math we did of how in maybe 3 to 5 years, 5% of the tenants' rent should get them to a 3% or 3.5% down payment to purchase the home. So that was our very DIY
Okay.
rental, rent to own type thing. So that was the
Right.
birth of GoodRents, was figuring out how do we purchase property, but also give back to the tenants to help them become homeowners.
Got it. Interesting. And what is your personal journey with house hacking? With how you,
Yeah,
yes, with wealth in units and such.
totally. But I was still renting when I was investing. I was like, I can't afford to buy a house in LA. I'll just buy these $40,000 properties in Ohio. Then I, again, very much learned from podcasts and getting books at the public library
Yeah.
about real estate, but house hacking was a term. I did not make up the term that a lot of folks were talking about. The gist is you basically 1 to 4 units when you purchase, and as you know from mortgages, 1 to 4 units is considered a residential mortgage. Five
Right.
plus units is commercial. So for someone to qualify for a commercial loan is pretty challenging.
Very
But
hard.
a
Yes.
regular person could buy a duplex with three and a
Three and
half
a half
percent
percent.
down, right?
Mhm.
FHA loan. That's actually the House Hunters episode I was on. That's what she was doing, buying a duplex with a house hacking. So that was fun.
And you got
But
it
yeah,
yourself? Is that what it is?
no, my client, I was the realtor on the House Hunters.
Oh, got it. And just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
listeners who are taking notes on everything, FHA has a very specific type of qualifying for 3 and 4 units. So we say that you can purchase as a primary residence 1 to 4 units, right? But FHA has this very difficult, what we call debt servicing ratio to qualify on 3 and 4 units. So basically, they want the home's rents to qualify 75% above what your PITI is. So it's a unicorn in LA to get 3 to 4 units to work on FHA. So really we always say that 3.5% down on units is only good to a duplex. And that's really the only when it comes to units. You can get an FHA, you can get a duplex. And this year, 2025, you can get a duplex at 1.5 million. So it's like
yeah,
pretty amazing what you can buy in Los Angeles with only 3.5% down on FHA. But being able to do a 3 or 4 unit on FHA is nearly impossible. I've
yeah.
done thousands of loans and I've only done two, which have been one was a 3 unit and one was a 4 unit on FHA. One should not have gotten passed through.
You're that good.
By the grace of God, the underwriter did not catch that the numbers didn't actually pan out when you did the calculation correctly. And then, so really, I've only done one that actually worked in LA where the rents covered the PI 75% of the
Right.
PITI. So that's a difficult thing, but 3.5% duplex all day long. Fannie and
Totally.
Freddie's guidelines are a little more difficult with it.
Yeah.
But go
Right.
ahead. Now it works in
Yeah.
other
No.
states, but in LA it's harder. Yeah.
Right. So all day long, because everything is national, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have friends who bought a duplex in Atlanta and they live in one and Airbnb the other. And the very specific thing about LA is the confluence of high prices and rent control
Right.
or rent stabilized units. So pretty much any 2+ unit property is also going to be, unless it's new built before, but unless it's new construction, most older buildings in LA are going to be rent controlled. So yeah, not only finding the unicorn of the property, but also the one where there's even 1 unit that you could move into. Because yes, to qualify for this house hacking, to break it down, house hacking
Yes.
means
Talk to us.
you buy a house or buy a property that has some sort of rental income potential. So you're like straddling the line between owner occupant and investor, right? So it's your primary, but it's also an investment. So it's like that weird gray space where you are allowed to buy ostensibly an investment property, a duplex, as an owner occupant. You just have to live there, right? That's the gist of house hacking. Now, it
Sure.
could be the ideal, right, is the duplex. Okay, but in LA, there's very rarely a duplex where there's even one unit vacant because you'd have to have one to move into. And then the other one, the rents could literally be $500 a month,
They very certainly can because
which,
you can't raise rents in LA. So
yeah,
can,
sure,
but
you can do the
so small.
3% or whatever.
Yeah.
And frankly, and I'm actually like, I'm an investor and I'm pro rent control and tenants' rights. I'm not saying we shouldn't have rent control. I'm just saying it's not in like in another state you'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna kick out the tenants and move in. Right here, you're really working with a pretty restricted set of
Unbelievably. I'm
guidelines.
kidding. I
Yeah.
have units, and when you're a great tenant, I won't even raise your rent. Like,
So a
but
lot.
we get, as landlords, we have so little rights here.
Oh,
So it
totally.
does make more sense if you're going to purchase investment property, do it outside the state. But
Or well, see,
well,
but then house
also it
hacking, you
maths
got to
out
live there,
better.
right?
But
So
house hacking, you have to live there.
so you do have to. So are you willing to move somewhere else? So obviously, we're talking about Los Angeles, which isn't going to feel accessible to most people in the country listening to this. Even in LA, I do like to say it is possible to buy in LA, and you might have to be a little creative, right? So maybe it's a single family house
With an
and
ADU.
with an ADU
It's
or
just
a,
as well as a
it's
duplex.
actually much better.
It
Okay.
also, you get a better interest rate.
Yep.
Also, you can do 5% down on conventional. Also, like there are like the ADU, that's what makes LA great, is there are so many ADUs now. So again,
Mhm.
for our listeners in Los Angeles, they passed with the county that because we are in such dire need of housing here, which we really are, all of the laws and permits have gotten much easier to pass in order to build an ADU on your property, which is an accessory dwelling unit. So, like, you can turn a garage very easily into a living unit that they legally allow you to rent out. And this was not the case even just 5 or 6 years ago, but it's gotten much better in the past few years. And so you're seeing ADUs everywhere. You're seeing like JDUs, you're seeing people
Mhm.
take a piece of their house, turn
Yeah.
that into an actual like JDU or ADU kind of situation. It's pretty amazing. And you are allowed legally to rent out that space and make
Yeah.
money on it. And then
Yeah.
still consider it an SFR, which is a
Yeah.
single family residence, in which case the interest rates are always better because Fannie and Freddie, and people are like, why are you like charging me money on units? So rates are always hit when you already have units. And basically the idea is that Fannie and Freddie is, if you're going to make extra money on this property, we want to make extra money on this property. So
Right.
it's not a pure primary since you're earning money on the property as well. And so in
Mhm.
that case, they hit you to the interest rate, but they
Interesting.
don't do that on SFRs with ADU.
Exactly. So I think you hit it exactly, which is,
Mm.
you know, LA does have this opportunity. And you know, what I talk people through all their options and hey, I want to do this, I want rental income. I'm like, look, everyone has a different level of tolerance. I have some clients who have no problem negotiating a voluntary buyout agreement with a tenant, paying them the relocation fees to leave. Other folks are like, nope, I don't even want to be in that situation. So I'm like, great, let's buy a house with an ADU. Or let's talk about your timeline. So do you need, so I have clients who maybe they want to move they really used to be called mother-in-law units, right? Granny flat. They actually want to move their mother-in-law in, but maybe they don't need it today, right? So I'm like, great, let's look for a house with a large lot where you could build an ADU or a garage conversion. And that we will then talk about the construction management piece. So I really do try not to sugarcoat it. Like, if the ADU is not already there,
Yeah.
you are going to become a developer
It's
at
expensive
your
too.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not cheap and it's very challenging. And you can speak more to this, but like the ideal ADU candidate who wants to finance their ADU has owned their house for a long time, they're tapping the equity and using that as a home equity line of credit or a refinance. But a person who just bought their house, they're not going to be able to finance an ADU because as a loan to value ratio on a cash out or on a HELOC are much lower. So I feel like I really try to explain it because they're like, oh, I'm just going to convert the garage to an ADU. I'm like, do you have another $200,000? And frankly, some people do. Okay. And so that's fine. But we have that
For sure.
conversation. Or let's try to get a more expensive property with an ADU already built because, yeah, it's more expensive. Natalie's going to be giving you 95% of it. So why not just pay more for the
Or
property that's
or
already have
more.
it?
Exactly. Or more than that. So I actually did a renovation loan
Hmm.
for the building of an ADU. And it was the first time I'd done this. Even my appraiser was like, what am I doing? Am I like comping this out based on homes that have ADUs? Like the after renovation value, how am I going to give this? Because they're not really doing anything to the primary. All they're doing is they want
Right.
180,000 to build out the garage. But
Exactly.
we did it. We got like they bought the house for 1 million, they put 180 in, and after renovation value, based on comps in the area that had ADUs, they were
Right.
at 135.
Yeah.
So
So they were good.
it was amazing that they
Yeah.
were going to earn that kind of almost $200,000 in equity just from building an ADU.
Yeah. And sometimes, so now because there are more ADUs, I feel like you can actually find comps with ADUs. A few years ago, I was trying to comp, I know even it was essentially a flip. It was an investor who bought the property, renovated it, converted the garage to an ADU, and then was intending to flip it. I honestly feel like it was at cost, like the ADU part, if it costs 200,000, I think it only got 200K extra in value. The house being renovated was a big difference, but the buyer pool increased a lot and the interest increased a lot because now you're looking at multi-generation buyers, like multiple families buying together, people who want to have rental income and they're like, I'm not going to do an 8 month, 8 to 12 month construction project in my backyard and figure all this out and find the cash. It sold quickly and worked out well, but we had zero comps. There was no other ADUs.
That's the problem. Yeah. That's where it
So
gets tricky, but there are so many now. In the
exactly.
past few years, comps have picked up so much with ADUs and so many people are taking advantage of it. So
Yeah.
have you had clients, because I know you do construction as well or management of it, have you had clients do that and they have been successful?
So let me think about. Yes, that one for sure. I have other folks who bought with the intention, future intention of building an ADU. So we were essentially doing some of the pre construction due diligence in escrow, like looking at the setback requirements and the power lines and the floor area ratio. They, no, they have not built it yet, but we had a conversation because we actually did look at a lot of places that had ADUs. But you're a little bit at the whim of the seller who did it. So, like,
Right.
this one was tiny and that one they didn't like it. And what, not saying they were being picky, which is great and they should
Sure.
be. But like, we weren't finding one where the seller had done what they wanted. We lowered the price range of the house and to make sure there was enough cash for this future thing. And they didn't need it right away. So we agreed, hey, you don't need it from day one. You don't need that rental income today. You have another now 5 years to keep saving. And we've bought a house that's a little bit cheaper than the other ones that had ADUs. So we made like a financial plan for them because I'm like,
Because they
great,
need to,
you've saved to
yeah,
the down payment. Now you're saving for the next project. And frankly,
exactly.
anyone who owns a house knows that it's just a never ending project.
I,
So there's always something you'll be doing.
I'm doing it right now. I'm killing myself over it. Yeah. Like
Yep.
getting the roof done and like we're adding a little small bath and instead of a closet, we're taking out the closet and putting like a half bath. And then I'm like, the guys are here and the other bathroom's a
The other,
wreck. So should we really can't we just get that one
yeah.
fixed? It's a mess and I have to
If
stop.
you
And my
totally, you give a
has to
mouse a cookie and
correct.
you give someone a house and they're like, oh, well, I have my long list of multi-year projects. So I guess
Totally.
in terms of strategizing, I don't think it's a one size fits all. Yes, I've helped somebody buy, and even that ADU, there is a garage. Sorry, the duplex that I was talking about, there is a garage. And then if you're looking at multifamily in LA, you actually have even more abilities to build ADUs. There's like all these other laws coming out with the number of ADUs you can build. So
I know, and
even that one,
that's going to be tricky for financing. That's the
yeah, and
problem.
that's a whole
Yes, I
other,
know that people are
but
building ADUs on 4 units, and now there's an ADU and a JDU, so it's 6 units, and
yeah,
that's never going to fly right now with Fannie and Freddie. Fannie and
totally.
They finally will recognize an ADU and allow me to use income from one,
Yeah,
allowing us to
that
have
was forever.
and that took long enough. And now 6 units on a residential only zoned for four
Hmm.
unit, like regardless if LA County is okay with it being legal rentals, it doesn't,
Hmm.
it makes the property unconforming, which is like not something Fannie and Freddie. So
Yeah,
we're working right now, Movement, my company is working right now to find a non-QM investor who has the appetite for these. There's no
yeah.
reason not to, but without making it like a commercial deal, because commercial loans as are like only arms, rates are higher, down payment is enormous, things like that.
Yeah, it's not your typical like you're not looking at a house hacker, right? Like you're not.
Right.
But see, these are the types of things where I feel like it drives me nuts when I see listing descriptions. I used to have a little search set up where I could look at houses and then type ADU in quotes and just because it's also very hard to find. If I have a client who's looking for ADU, a property with an ADU, like how do I find that? Because not all the time is it labeled ADU. A friend taught me a trick. Should I reveal it? That on the for
I would
realtors.
imagine that you have to regardless, but yes.
But it's just a funny, it was just a simple trick, but it was like on the MLS, because I'm a real estate broker, so I use the MLS to search to specifically look for single family houses with 3 bathrooms because that's super rare. Of course, some parts of LA have bathroom, 5 bedroom, six
Sure.
bath. Okay, fine. But if you're looking for like two, you would do like maybe, I don't even think you need to put the bedroom count, but like 2 to 6 bedrooms and then 3 bathrooms. And you'll pretty much clear out some won't be ADUs, but like it's really rare for a single family house to have 3 bathrooms in a sort of like normal neighborhood. So that was a cool way to find houses with an ADU. But
Yeah,
yeah, oh, I was just gonna say what you were sharing about the fourplex becoming a non-conforming loan and all these listing descriptions now that just say you can build an ADU. You can build an ADU. It's okay. Yes, that is the California law. It's irrelevant to put that in the listing description. Um,
exactly.
but I think that's why it's so important to have someone like you who understands residential and commercial loans and a realtor who understands
Legalities of it.
investing and legality.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I have a client who is buying a fourplex and says they're going to build 2 ADUs, the first thing I'm going to say is, what's your exit plan?
Totally.
Because are you going to live there forever? Then fine, who cares? You're never going to sell it. But
Right.
that's unrealistic, right? And so then are you going to keep it? Are you then going to
Could you ever
your
refinance
end
it?
refinancing it, your buyer pool is weirdly going to shrink when you do that. So I would say if my buyers, yes, I'm going to flip this in 5 years, then I'm like, then don't do that. If they're saying, hey, no, I really want to hold and I like have a portfolio that I want to leave to my kids, then I'm like, okay, then fine, let's talk about that strategy. And then maybe you'll be doing a 1031 exchange on that and then buying a 8 unit. So who cares? that it's
Right.
non-conforming. But like you really have to understand what their long-term goals are, because then that's going to affect, you don't want to get there 5 years later and you've just spent all that money on ADUs and be like, oh, I can't sell it to anyone. That's not helpful.
Exactly. And you can, but it just would end up being an all cash situation or hard, or again, like a non-QM lender that will allow you to do that.
Yeah,
You just have to really understand what those terms are before you enter in so that you can understand what you're looking at for the future.
totally.
Having two extra units may be well worth
The income,
the
yeah.
fact that it could be harder to sell or more expensive to finance.
Like,
But yeah, I have a client right now who's actually a real estate agent. I've worked with him for probably 18 years, and I have financed almost every single one of his investment properties, and he has six now. And he and his wife are looking to purchase a 4 unit and add 2 units on it. And so we just went through the conversation of like, all right, what's this going to mean if you just want to refinance, because the rate is going to be much higher
mm,
anyway, and then they want to
mhm,
be able to get some renovation money out of it. All of it is a little bit
right.
trickier. And I was like, listen, we can refinance before you actually, if you're okay with it, before you actually finish up on those extra units. Because there are ways around it, right? If there aren't kitchens in it yet, then it's still legal and can be storage space, can be like whatever, a little
Yeah, yeah,
studio in the back. You can do whatever you want with it. And that's all legal. It's not a unit someone's living in. You can even have bathrooms in them. So I was like, if there is an exit strategy from the higher rate loan, but it's tricky and needs to be done very timely.
yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to also ask you about how you analyze certain numbers for investment property. So, do you have a specific way of deciding whether or not something is profitable, or do you have an actual calculation for yourself? I know what I use, which is unreasonable, highly unreasonable for LA. That's just my own thing. If I'm going to invest money in LA, I have to make a certain amount of thousands based on a certain amount of hundreds of thousands invested. But what is your do you have a way that you think of certain numbers for like financial gain in something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I do
Yeah.
feel since I became a real estate broker, my investing has plummeted
Oh, that's
because
funny.
I'm have a young kid and like just I'm still in the first 5, 6 years of business, like where everything is a lot harder. When you've been in
Yeah.
the business maybe 20 years, it's okay. And at that point, you're just answering the phone from the work you put in 20 years ago. But still, in the moving from a W-2 employee to a business owner, I felt like I did have to make that choice maybe a few years ago of okay, my investing went, I got hooked. I bought one
Okay.
property and then I had 10 months later, I had 10 units,
Oh my
right? So
God.
I was like, all right, I'm in this, right? So then all of a sudden I had a property manager who was not doing well and I had 10 units, and an issue when you have 1 or 2 units is a different issue than when you have 10 units that are not going well. So I was really managing this other business, and but I was a W-2 employee. You check your mail, you email at work, and I was doing great at my job. And I feel like it's easier to, I don't know, find time for your side hustles when you're an employee. When you're a business owner, right? I was like, okay, at what point is that 1 hour spent like troubleshooting
Right.
the bed bugs at this property where the neighbors are upset at each other? Is that hour really making me more money than an hour doing outreach to potential buyers and clients as a real estate broker? It became a no brainer for me
Yeah.
and like where I'm at in my life. And when I wasn't super happy at my job, I wanted to invest in real estate and retire early and have the best cash flow. But now I really love my business, so I'm not like aching to retire. So all that to
Yeah.
say, I do think my investment criteria has changed significantly because I do feel like early on I was chasing cash flow, which everyone's like, cash flow, don't bank on appreciation, which I think is a very post 2008
Opposite in LA.
approach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
complete opposite in LA. It's all about appreciation and not about cash flow.
And yeah, of course, you don't want it to be like completely in the negative,
No,
but
just not cash flow positive
that's not
necessarily.
the, yeah, exactly. If you just do simple math, right? It's whatever, $1,000 a month, let's say of cash flow, 12,000 a year over 5 years. That's like
60,000.
what? Oh yeah,
Oh,
60,000.
yeah.
I was doing like, why was I talking about 1,000? I think I was doing this math. Someone, yeah, okay. So let's just use 1,000 a month. So 12,000 a year in, let's say, cash flow. Then you over 5 years, it's 60,000. Okay. And that's if everything went well every month and you didn't have one month where the water heater went out and then the roof has to be replaced. It's just $1,000 a year would
Always.
be
Yeah,
incredible, by the way, like an incredible return. And this would be after all expense. Not, I'm not just talking about the mortgage,
you're talking
taxes,
about
insurance,
net.
like
You're talking
net.
about net.
Okay. Which
Okay.
also would be impossible.
But then that means you need to be grossing a lot, if that.
Exactly. So let's just use the 60,000 over
That's
five
great.
years.
Yeah.
But think about appreciation in LA over 5 years.
You're probably earning 60 grand in appreciation a year.
Way more. Yeah,
In LA.
exactly. And even
In
if,
LA, yeah, even at 5 to 7% appreciation, you're earning 60 to 70 a year. So when I counsel my clients when they're like, I don't want this, I'm not going to make any money. I'm like, you can't look at it from a cash flow perspective. You can't look at
mhm,
it from a monthly. Even if you're losing 100 to 400 a month, and that ends up meaning like whatever, you're negative 6,000 a year, you're buying an $800,000 property, 800,000, which means you're probably set to earn 60,000 a year on this in appreciation. So losing 6,000 still keeps you up by 54,000 a year in appreciation, which if you break it down is like a salary for somebody not in LA. So the idea in LA that you don't have to worry about much of cash flow because the appreciation is so incredible in LA, that's really where you get to when it comes to purchasing investment property
yeah,
because of the lack of inventory and the lack of housing and the demand for housing, right? Supply and demand, that's all it is. Normally, anyway, your appreciation is quite good in LA. Nearly year after year consistency. Yeah.
yeah, you nailed it exactly. Like that is the mindset shift that I think goes back to also just like really getting clear with what are the goals. Okay, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you're working, you're earning money. You don't need it to cash flow right now. Like, you're not saying, oh, this is going to be my retirement now or my income
Yes.
now. So, what I was doing was, oh, I'm going to get the cash flow, right? Because then it's going to replace my income. And I don't regret anything I did in my investments or
Of
whatever. I
course.
learned so much. But and there was some appreciation in Ohio too. But I feel like the cash flow in 5 years, you're looking at 60,000, right? Best case scenario versus possibly 60,000 a year. And then this is the thing people are like, oh, you can't bank on appreciation. And because look what happened in 2008. So, number one, if you didn't sell or get foreclosed on in 2008 and you still have a property you bought pre 2008, it's worth more now than
Way more.
it was in 2008. So it actually did continue to appreciate.
In 2012, it was worth more. There was really
Yeah,
only two or three. I was in the business then. I started in 2005. So if you just, I told so many people after, like, if you just sat on it, just sit and live in the home
don't
that you
sell
love,
in the dip. Yeah,
just because it's
exactly.
not worth what you think it was or what you bought it for 6 months ago, a year ago, it still will be. That's what happens with really. And
Right.
it literally
Yeah,
by 2011, 2012, everything was back. Way
interesting.
back, way back.
Yeah, and okay, not to discount the like predatory lending that led to that scenario where people truly did lose their homes out of their control.
Of
But
course.
if you were able to pay your mortgage and stay, like who can like it
Yes.
didn't matter ultimately. So I think
Yeah.
that's one piece. And then the other piece is so that's just sort of natural appreciation. But LA is LA, right? So it's people are going to be coming here forever, or as long as our country is still desirable. But like this LA is a multi like industry economy with, yes, there's net people leaving, but there's net people coming. It's not reliant on one economy. And there are ways that you can force appreciation, like you were sharing with the ADU, of remodeling the house or adding a unit, or
So much, yeah.
even just some basic stuff that my clients have had to do buying from old school owners, like replacing the roof and painting it and doing the foundation. There's like boring stuff that's going to go a long way. So it's not all just natural appreciation. There's also stuff you have control over, some
Certainly.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basics, the basic
Basics,
stuff.
exactly.
But still, I feel like it's good to remember it's not just this thing that's out of our control. I do think the focus the last few years on interest rates has almost made it feel like, oh, real estate's out of my control because, oh, it's the feds over there and interest rates. I'm like, but there's within it, it's such an imperfect market that there's opportunities. Like you said, the
Right.
criteria, I don't know, it's not really a one size fits all because it depends on the goals and what are what return are they looking for, and then are they okay with waiting? Like, you don't need
Right.
this cash flow now, but like you're actually setting yourself up for success 10 years from
In
now.
the
Like,
future.
can you
Mhm.
just hang on and not worry about the cash flow right now?
Exactly. Exactly. If people
Yeah.
are patient enough and can look that far ahead enough. It's hard to do, and you
Totally.
always it's funny because I was thinking about it the other day where I was like, I'm always feeling like now isn't the right time. 2 years ago was the right time. And I do it to myself, which is crazy because I talk my buyers out of it all the time. Don't worry about what 2 years ago was, but
Right.
don't come to me in 2 years from now and wish you bought now because it's going to be the same, even though we always think it isn't. Like when I finally purchased my primary home in 2015, I was like, I cannot believe I'm buying at the top of the market. I
Hmm.
cannot believe I did this to myself. So ridiculous.
Totally.
That was 10 years
Totally.
ago and not even near top of market. But it always feels scary to get in now because now feels at its highest. And that's because now is its highest. And that's
Hmm.
because tomorrow will be a little higher. And the next day will be a little higher. And next year will be a little. And so it's just this like hard concept to wrap your head around that I'm not getting a good deal, even though if you, like I said, if you just live in the home that you love and sit and know that just enjoy it, there's like an idea that yes, you're purchasing an asset and this asset's going to grow, but it also is your home.
Sure.
You just get to
And that
live
is
it.
what makes it complicated, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
really an asset. That's like the house hacking. It's like asset, but investment. So that's, and I work with plenty of folks who are not house hacking. They're just buying a house that they want to live in, and that's
Yeah.
great. But I do think that, in I commit 5% of my gross real estate income to social housing, community housing, I've been doing some work with community land trusts and nonprofits, like purchasing rent stabilized units and keeping the
So
rents
great.
affordable. So it really has expanded beyond just the 1% give give I'm actually now getting to be the broker for these social justice housing initiatives because it is people's houses. Even if you're renting, that's your house. That's where you live, right? And
Yeah.
it is complicated because I feel like there can be this emphasis on real estate as an investment, but it's also just like a basic right to have housing, or it should be.
Sure. Exactly. Exactly. So thank you so much for your time and energy and information. I wanted to talk about this like little promotion for you of this LA Homebuyer Expo.
Oh yeah.
And everybody, you can find the link. We'll put in the notes and everything, all of Sammy's Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, but also this LA Homebuyer Expo. What is that?
Okay, great. As a brokerage, we're just a small team of five, small but mighty. And we've been putting on events for talking about taxes and real estate and SBA financing, like how a small business could get a loan to buy a purchase for their business. So our next event is the LA Homebuyer Expo. And The inspiration behind that is I feel like the home buyer class where
First time home
you
buyer
go
class.
on you go on a Wednesday night and sit in a room with 9 people, and you have the title company talk and the escrow company and the lender and the realtor. I feel like
I
I
do
don't
many
even
of those. I do many of those.
no offense, but I don't even want to do that. That sounds boring to me, to just be so informational about it. I'm happy to I love education. I love sharing free resources with folks. But the idea was, why don't we make it like a fun, come meet the folks. I also got into this in COVID, right? So a lot of my stuff is virtual, or we talk on the phone, and I don't even meet people in person unless they're actually ready to go look at a house, which, as there's many steps before even going to look at a house. So
Totally.
it is a way of saying, what if we just had vendors and food and music and a photo booth, and we're just here. We're still actively looking for sponsors, accepting sponsorships. So there'll be lenders and home inspector and an ADU builder and a home warranty company, just
All of the vendors, all of the
resources
vendors.
that will be
Yeah.
helpful in your journey. And it's not even just first time home buyer, but just it's like the home buyer, right? So you might have just bought a house and you're like, oh, I need to install central air. Is there an AC company I should, whatever it is. But so that's the idea. It's September 27th. It's going to be in
Awesome.
Glendale, which, if you're familiar with LA, it's part of one of the neighborhoods in LA. So it will, yeah, just be an event where you could come and talk to everybody, or you could just get some food and take some people's cards, and it can be everyone just have a little bit of one-on-one conversation instead of feeling, oh, it's a workshop and I'm here to get information. More relationship building.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. If anyone is around and available, you should check it out. I think I might try to check it out because I live in Silver Lake, so I'm right around the
Yeah,
corner.
please do.
Thank you so much, Sammy, for being on. This was such a pleasure. And for everybody out there, again, like I said, Sammy's information is in the below. And thanks for joining, and I'll see you on the next Mortgage on My Mind. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage on My Mind. If you're ready to start your mortgage journey or have any questions, I'd love to help. With 20 years of experience, I make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. Check the show notes for my contact info, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. Until next time, I'm Natalie Salins, here to help make your real estate dreams a reality.